If you're sitting there thinking about starting a business, you are writing out your business plan, you are building your brand, and you're working out what product or service you're actually going to deliver to your customers, then I need you to stop. Not because your idea is bad, but because there is a faster, lower risk, better capitalized way to become a business owner, and most people never even think of it. Today, I'm going to show you why buying a business beats starting one on almost every single metric that matters, whether that's revenue, risk, time, funding, and even your chances of making this a success. And by the end of this video, you're going to wonder why you were ever thinking of doing it the hard way. The business you want to own, somebody probably already owns it. They started it up from scratch, they have built it from nothing, and now they need somewhere for it to go. They are ready to hand it over to someone, and the question really is, who's going to take it over? Let me give you some context, because I think this really matters. There are around 5.5 million SMEs in the UK. That is small and medium-sized businesses, and they are the engine of our economy. Tens of thousands of them come to the market every single year because their owners retire. They want to cash out, they're burnt out, they've got health issues, or they just want to move on. These are real businesses with real customers and real revenue coming in every single month. Real staff who know what they're doing and real systems, even if they're not perfect. And yet, the cultural narrative that we are all sold, the one in every business book, on every podcast, in every LinkedIn post, is to have an idea and to build something from scratch. And yes, it is one route, but it is not the only route. And for most people, it is not the best route. I'm going to talk you through 5 specific reasons why buying beats starting. And I want to be concrete about this, not some vague inspiration. Real numbers and real logic. These are the 5 things I look at every time someone comes to me with a business idea. Number 1, you buy revenue, you don't build it. When you start a business on day 1, your revenue is 0. You have no customers, no pipeline, no proof. You're spending money on time, websites, ads, equipment, and 0 is coming back in. But when you buy a business, you acquire the revenue. You walk in on day 1 or 30 days after you've completed, and that business is already generating income. There are direct debits already coming in. There are customers already booked in for their services. That revenue machine is churning. And that's not a small thing. That's the difference between your family eating and your family not eating. That's the difference between you sleeping at night or you lying awake thinking, what the hell have I done? Let's say you're going to look at a service-based business turning over $500,000 in revenue each year, and it's making 150k in adjusted profit, what we'd call SDE or seller discretionary earnings. That is the number that tells you exactly what money this business puts in that owner's pocket. This is the number that you want to know. You buy that business, and from day 1, you have £500,000 revenue coming in. You buy that business, and from month 1, you have a £500,000 revenue base to build from. If you started from scratch in the same sector, you'd be building from 0, burning through your savings, trying to win your first client. The question isn't which is riskier. It's actually pretty obvious which is riskier. Number 2, acquisition is fundable. Ideas aren't. Here's something that surprises most people that come through my community. You can fund a business acquisition without needing a stack of your own cash in the bank. Banks, including major high street lenders, will lend money off the back of the cash flow of a profitable business. The business's own earnings are the collateral. There are government-backed loan schemes specifically there to enable you to acquire businesses. And some lenders will finance up to 70% of the deal. And then there's seller finance, where the owner of the business agrees to be paid back over a period of time using the profit of the business you are buying, which is arguably the most elegant funding structure in the world. Now, try and walk into a bank and ask for funding for your startup app, or your plan to open a coffee shop that doesn't exist yet. They will wish you well and show you the door. Because ideas don't have cash flow, existing businesses do. Debt Service Coverage Ratio, also known as DSCR, is what lenders look at whenever they're assessing a deal. It's a ratio of the business's earnings to its debt repayments. A DSCR of 1.5 or above, lenders love that. It tells them that the business earns enough to cover the debt and still have some left over. When you can show that, you're in a completely different conversation with a funder than whenever you're coming forward with an idea and no proof. Number 3, proof beats promise every single time. When you start a business, you're making a bet. You believe that people want what you're building. You believe you can reach them. You believe the economics work. But that's 3 separate bets, and you need all of them to come in to make this work. When you buy a business, the bet has already come in. The market has voted and people are buying what this business sells. The economics are already visible in the accounts. You're not predicting, you're verifying. Daniel Priestley talks about a key person of influence. and the idea that the most valuable thing that you can build is proven, demonstrable expertise. An existing business is the commercial equivalent of that. The receipts are right there in the financials. And here's the thing, you're not just inheriting the proof, you're inheriting the relationships, the suppliers that know the business, the customers that come back time and time again, and the staff that are there to run it. Number 4, your time is the most expensive thing in the room. People talk about startup capital like it's the most expensive thing in the room, but it's not. Your time is the most expensive thing in the room. If you leave a £70,000 a year job to start from scratch and it takes you 3 years to get back to that £70,000 income again, you've just cost yourself £210,000. You've effectively spent £210,000 of your own time just getting back to where you were 3 years ago. That's not in your P&L, but it is very real. But when you buy a business that's already generating $150,000 in SDE, you're buying the time it took somebody else to get there. You're paying for the years of iteration, the client acquisition, the hiring of staff, reputation building, system building. That's what the multiple reflects. 2 to 4 times EBITDA is a typical multiple in the UK and Ireland. You're going to pay, say, $450,000 for a business making $150,000 SDE. Some people hear that and think it sounds expensive, but think of the time it would have taken you to grow a business from zero until there. It's not expensive, it's a bargain. And finally, number 5. Growth from a base is exponentially easier than growth from zero. Alex Hormozy talks about the difference between making a business better versus making a business exist. And this distinction matters a lot when you're talking about business acquisition. When you buy an existing business, you don't need to create growth from nothing. You've got to improve what's already there. And that's fundamentally different, fundamentally easier. In a post-acquisition growth strategy, which is something that we go into in a lot of detail inside the Business Buying Blueprint, you're looking at 4 levers. Number 1, we want to increase the average transaction value. Number 2, we want to improve customer retention. Number 3, we're going to want to add new income streams. And number 4, we're going to remove any inefficiencies that the previous owner had. None of these require starting from zero. All of them are compounding on the existing foundation that you just bought. And that is the acquisition advantage. Let's look at a quick example. Take a service-based business with 200 customers. The average customer spends £2,000 a year. That's annual revenue of 400k. You add one service tier at £500 and 40% of people buy it. So now your annual revenue is 440,000. That's a 10% uplift and you've not even added one customer. That's the power of a base and you can't do that from zero. Let me just put this side by side because I think seeing it that way makes it undeniable. In every single row, buying wins, hands down. There's no version of this where starting from scratch is the superior choice for someone that wants to own a profitable business. Now, I know what some of you are thinking because I've heard these objections a lot. So let me address the big ones. Objection 1, I don't have the money to buy a business. Neither did I, and neither did most of the people coming through my program. Because, and I cannot say this enough, you don't need to fund the full price to buy a business. Seller finance, bank lending, deal stacking. We're going to layer multiple funding sources to construct this deal. The first thing I tell everyone that comes through the Business Buying Blueprint is do not write off a deal just because of the headline price. Understand the funding options before you decide what you can or you cannot afford. Objection number 2, I don't have enough experience to run a business. You don't need to know how to build a business, but you do need to know how to lead one. And that's a totally different skill set and frankly, a much more transferable one from employment. The business already comes with people who know how it works. Your job as the buyer, especially in the early stages, is to listen, stabilize and improve, not redesign it from the ground up. Most successful acquirers that I know were not successful entrepreneurs before they became business owners. They were managers, leaders, people who knew how to work with teams, communicate with people and read a P&L. Those skills are transferable. It's a fair question and honestly, due diligence is your answer here. The risks in an acquisition are identifiable. Key person dependency, where the business only works because of the outgoing owner. Customer concentration, where one client represents 40% of the revenue. Premises risk, where the lease is about to expire or the owner controls the property and hasn't handed it over. These are not surprises if you know what to look for. They're flags, and in my program, we go through them with a fine-tooth comb. So you can either price the risk accordingly or you can walk away from the deal. No deal is zero risk. But a well-diligenced acquisition of a profitable business, the risk profile is much more manageable than people realise and considerably more manageable than starting from scratch. So here's where I want to leave you. If you're still thinking of starting from zero, ask yourself honestly, is that the ambition or is that just the default? Because for most people, it's the default. It's what they think is the only option. Business acquisition is not a secret. And the people who understand it, who learn to find deals, structure funding, and do the right due diligence, they are walking into profitable cash flowing businesses, while everybody else is sitting back working out the brand colours. If you want to learn how this works in practice, the full process, how to find a business, how to fund a business, how to finalise a deal, then you know you've got to join the Business Buying Blueprint. The link is in the description. This week, I want you to do just one thing. Go and actually look at what is for sale out there right now. You will be really surprised. And what it costs to own something that already works is going to surprise you even more. I'll see you in the next one.